guys, Francis O'Keefe here for Go Guitar Lessons. Today I'm going to be showing you something that a lot of my students and a lot of people have difficulty with, and that's the shuffle feel and that shuffle sound of Pride and Joy. So when I first learned this a long time ago, what I saw in tablature, because that's how I learned it, was something like this. Now, this is not entirely incorrect, but it's missing a lot of key elements that make it sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and that brings that intensity into it. So this is a super watered down elevator style version of Pride and Joy, and that's what you'll find even if you look at tablature today. And I'm not talking about some dude who wrote it on Ultimate Guitar. Not to say that Ultimate Guitar only has crappy tabs; they do have some good solid ones, but I'm talking about real professional tablature that you'll buy in store, or professional tab that you'll pay for online. It'll still show this, and I have a problem with that because Stevie's not doing that. He's doing it on so much of a different level. So I'm gonna quickly bring you through the techniques that'll help get you a lot closer to the way Stevie plays it. So the first thing we have to do is we have to talk about the intensity. So he brings in some intensity in his guitar playing by a few techniques. We have this thing called, well, I guess what I call a back rake. And instead of just the two strings open, what I want you to do is I want you to strum up from the B string, and then we're gonna do a left hand mute. Okay, so that's what's happening in between the walk notes. And I also want you to take up the high E string. So you can bring back the high E string later on, but it sounds much better when you focus in on the mid strings of the guitar with this rake and just get rid of the high E string. Okay, so step number one is to do that back rake and then mute it quickly. Okay, by the time I hit the next note, everything else is dead and we only hear that walk note. Okay, so make sure you're doing that. The next thing that we're going to do is the walk notes. They are going to have a bit of a rake on them. So it depends on which direction our hand is going in at the moment we hit the notes, because the way the strumming works is it's going to be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's constantly alternating. It's never down, 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 or up, 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 or different combinations of downs and ups. It's always just down, up, down, up, down, up. So that means that when we hit these walk notes, we are going to be either strumming down, which is not that good for a rake when we are on the lowest note, because there's nothing above to actually rake into the note. So that leaves us to do the note with a slight rake below, okay? So normally rakes are played with the strings above the note, not strings below the note. So it can be done, but we don't get as nice as a rake. Oh, I should say one thing is that we can do a rake. We can actually do a rake on those notes, but our hand has to be going in the opposite direction, has to be going up. So there's nothing that we can do about it because of the way the strumming is, so we're gonna end up with some notes that are less raked than others. So here's our first up raked note. So we get a good solid rake on that 4th fret. So I would rake from the G string up. That means that the G string, the D string, and the A string, they are all muted, completely dead, leaving just the note that we want to come clear. In fact, that is really the only note that we end up raking with an upstroke. So the rest of them we're raking with downstrokes, which isn't too bad because these are the ones at least we have a string or two to rake into. The other thing I want you to do is that these notes, we're going to give them a slight vibrato, okay? And we see this in Stevie's playing. It's one of the unique things of his playing. Actually, all these techniques that I'm talking about, with the back raking, the vibrato, and the open, those open kind of muted strings, we see that in a lot of his songs. So that is one of his actual techniques that he uses all over the place, and it's something that you want to master if you want to get that Stevie sound in any of his songs. So I should probably elaborate on the down rakes a bit more. And something else with Stevie's style is that whenever he hits a note, he controls absolutely every single string on the guitar. And this is something that you'll see in funk guitar playing. You'll see strings being hit with an open hand strum, which means that you have to literally control everything around the note that you want. Make sure the note that you want comes clear, and everything else that you don't want is muted. And that's kind of the same technique that's happening here in the intro to Pride and Joy. Because we have that open hand technique, we have to make sure that the note we want is clean and clear, and the other stuff is muted and suppressed. So that's not easy, and it takes a lot of practice to actually learn how to control that. I have another video where I talk about that technique specifically. I believe it's called SRV style funk muting, something like that, where I dive in a bit deeper into that muting style. So go check that out. Sorry, there's one more thing, is your right hand intensity. So I talked about how you're going to be doing like a strumming motion for the whole riff. Okay, so you're doing the strumming motion the whole time. You also need to be intense on when you're hitting those notes. So don't be light on your strum. Be actually really, really intense, and have your left hand control that intensity so that it doesn't go out of control. And the intensity that I want is such an intensity that it's basically at the threshold of your guitar being hit too hard. Okay, so we want that fire intensity to really sound like the way SRV would play it. And if you ever check out a live video of him playing that song, you can really hear that intensity. Overall, SRV always has that intensity when he plays, and that is the one thing that gives him, well, that is one of the aspects that gives him a killer tone, is how intense his playing is. So we're looking at intense vibratos, we're looking at intense muting, a lot of intense and heavy strumming. Now, of course, he was really good with dynamics, so he can bring stuff down. For the Pride and Joy intro, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that it's intense and that we're bringing in those back rakes and those mutes. So I hope the video helped out a lot. I know this is a difficult thing to learn. It took me many years to learn how to play it properly. And for you, with the right instruction, you will learn how to play it hopefully within a few weeks, within a few days, depending on your level, and you won't be struggling playing it the wrong way for a long time. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to like the video, and if you do have any comments that you want to say, put it down in the comment section. If you have any requests for songs, or if there's something that was unclear in the video, don't forget to mention it. Okay, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.